All right, today, flank steak versus skirt steak. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna grill up some flank and we're gonna grill up a skirt steak and we're gonna make a stir fry out of this guy. We're gonna finally solve the debate, what is better? Now I've got two pieces here that I've cleaned up and cut for you right away. This is part of our flank steak. It's about half the flank and surprise, surprise, it comes from the flank. This skirt is part of the outside skirt, which also comes from the flank of the beef. So we'll grill these guys up on the barbecue, pull them off, and we'll slice them up. That way we contain some of the moisture in it. Then we'll mix it in with our veggies that we've grilled up as well. All right, let's get a seasoning on this guy and put him on the barbecue. So here's the big difference between a flank steak and a skirt steak. So the flank steak is going to be about 1 pound to 2.5 pounds, depending on the size of the animal. It's usually fairly thin, and the muscle fibers run long ways. It's a very lean piece of meat. Usually good if you want to grill it whole, marinate it, cook it as a steak, or you can cut it and slice it for stir fry or fajitas. Now the difference with the skirt steak here is usually, this is only a portion, but usually a whole skirt steak, it's about this long. It's anywhere between 3 to 5 pounds depending on the animal. It's a lot thicker, as you can see, and the muscle fibers run horizontally instead of the length of it. So it's usually, you can get longer strips out of it, or even if you cut them in small sections, you can get a nice grilling steak out of them. They're a little thicker, so you cook them for a little longer. And the muscle fibers aren't as tight-knit as the flank steak. So these guys are more optimal, in my opinion, for doing a fajita or a stir fry, as opposed to cooking as a whole like you would with the flank steak. Okay, so let's get a little seasoning on them. I put some olive oil, we've got a little seasoning. We're gonna mix these up. So got a little seasoning, gonna rub it on there, and we're gonna cook them on the grill whole. We're gonna pull them off after, and then we're gonna slice them up. Now the reason why I'm gonna do this is because if you slice them first and put them in a pan, it's where you tend to get a very dry and almost a rubbery stir fry. If you cook them whole, they'll keep nice and moist, keep a little bit more juice in them, and then you can slice them after and throw them in with your vegetables. You don't have to worry about any cross-contamination that way. All right, guys, so we got our rice boiling away because that's going to take us the longest. Next, what we want to do is we want to throw our veggies on. So I've just made a little medley here that I'm going to pop in the hot skillet. So I want to add oil. And I like to add a little bit of ginger. You just add a little ginger paste to your vegetables. Get that in there. Excellent. So in your vegetable medley, you can really put whatever you feel like. What I've done here is a little bit of onion, peppers, and broccoli. I find this to be a good little base. A nice chunky chop. It doesn't have to be super fine because it's going to all go mixed together with some rice. But we get this in first because our steak isn't going to take too long. They're quite thin and you're going to sear them nice and hot. So this pan, we've got the heat in the barbecue about 350. So it's good to toss this in. So do a little handful at a time. Careful that the oil doesn't get you. Perfect, get those all in there. Now once this goes down a little bit, then we'll throw our steaks onto the grill. All right, these veggies are starting to look like they're breaking down a little bit. You want them not super soft and soggy because that'll ruin your stir fry, but you do want them cooked through. You don't want any hard bits in your broccoli, especially if you throw things like watercress, or if you're going to use baby carrots or baby corn. You really want to make sure those guys aren't going to be hard in your stir fry, or that's going to have a weird texture. So these guys are just about ready to go here. So I'm just going to move it up on the grill so it's not in the way. And I'm going to put our flank steak and our skirt steak on. So first I'm going to put the skirt steak because it's a little thicker. All right, guys, we're about ready to flip our skirt steak here. That's when you know it's ready to throw the flank steak on. As you see, we got a nice sear on this side. I'm going to flip them over. Time to flip that flank steak over. Nice sear on the one side, get it on that other side. This skirt steak's looking good. It's still a little too rare. By the time that flank steak finishes up, it'll be ready to pull off. We'll go slice them and then we'll pop them back in with these veggies. Starting to come together real well, guys. All right, guys, it's time to pull the steaks off. We're gonna go slice them and then we'll pop them back in with the vegetables. come inside. We're gonna take a peek at what these guys look like. Okay, so we're gonna slice these guys up probably about a 1/4 inch or a 1/2 inch slices. Don't want to go too thick because you're not going to be chewing steak, but you don't want to go so small that it falls apart. So first, we'll start with the skirt steak here. When I cut this guy, it falls apart fairly easily. It's still a little rare on the inside, but that's okay because we're going to pop it back in with the vegetables. So this is a little bit more of a fatty cut compared to the flank steak. Muscle fibers are a little bit more far apart. So as you can see, this guy's kind of fallen apart, a little stringy there, which tends to make really good stir fry, really good fajitas. Not as great for keeping as a whole steak. Perfect. So that guy's all cut up there. Now we're gonna do the flank steak. So a little thinner, a little more done than the skirt steak. And as you can see, the muscle fibers here are a little closer together, so it holds a little bit better. It's not as stringy. All right, now that these guys are all cut up, we're gonna pop them back on the barbecue and the skillet with the veggies. We're gonna let them go. Our rice is all done. Dinner's almost ready. Okay, so we're gonna throw our steaks on here. Mix that all in real good. And the last thing we're going to do is we're going to add in some sauce. We want to make sure this is nice and moist, as well as flavorful. So first thing we're going to put in here is the Mirin style sweet cooking seasoning. So this is just a little bit of sweet seasoning sauce that we're going to throw in, just to add some complexity to the dish. Then I want to throw in some hoisin, a little dark flavor, a little the soy, some spice, a little thickness to it as well. And then last, what we want to put in is a Korean barbecue. I like to use this instead of just the teriyaki sauce. I find it gives you a better flavor, better profile, a little bit more complexity to it, and a really authentic stir-fry seasoning. All right, now that we got our sauce in here, we're gonna really mix this guy up. We'll put the lid back down. It's on about a medium-low heat, and we're gonna just finish up the rest of the steak here to make sure it's not too rare for when we put it over top of our rice. Let everything marry together, get nice and warm, get that flavor profile going, mix it all in with the vegetables, and we'll be ready to eat in a couple minutes here. All right, guys, it looks like we're finished up just in time. The rain's just about to start. Dinner smells good, looking amazing. We're gonna go bring this inside, put it over top of some rice. Yeah, look at that. Alrighty, guys, let's head inside. All right, now we're gonna throw this over top of our rice. And dinner is ready for us here. Perfect. All right, guys, thanks again for tuning in. Episode 9 of Barbecue with Birk. I hope this one was a nice, easy one for you guys, something you can do in the middle of the week. And tune in next week for our final episode, episode 10 of Barbecue with Birk. I'm gonna do up a big old brisket on the smoker, so you don't wanna miss that. Tune in. Thanks a lot, guys.